All.
oil.
Yes.
And a government that is responsible cannot continue to take money away from other sectors for one sector. I believe that the government is doing its best to find some modus vivendi so that the workers find alternative employment, the land is properly utilized, and that the sugar industry maintains a certain balance. The cutback on the state started during the PP time. People don't know that. And remember that sugar was subsidized for years because of slavery and indentureship. The Europeans gave a subsidy. I think they've reached a stage where slavery is ended, and we're not in that story anymore.
Yes.
So we have to compete with beet, we have to compete with the rest of the world. And unless we can up our production, we're going to have a problem.
You know, Mr. Green, I have a different perspective when it comes to these commodities like sugar, rice, hemp. What has happened is that the world has changed. And when people talk today about sugar, you will have scores of people who will tell you, oh, you shouldn't shouldn't produce sugar, as you shouldn't be producing alcohol and promoting it, or cigarettes. But in the case of sugar, it's energy in a form.
Yes.
So you will need sugar, but the thing is that how do you position your sugar? Like what we did when we came in 1988, and with the government at that time, we explained to them that, look, although people tell you rice is dead, the mills is crap, and so forth, the same story you hear today about sugar. We said, let us reposition our rice in markets which want our rice, and where we don't get prices which will keep our farmers hungry, but position it in such a way that you come into a preferential situation. And that was the success of rice. Sugar is the same thing. I am saying it here on public television, that while Gaisuku is saying they're getting $390 per ton because they sell their raw sugar to a big broker because they were hungry to take advances, so they have to deliver, we are clocking 800 euros per ton in the end market. That's the same brown sugar coming from Tanzania, Cambodia, all those places, because in the people perception, what they call raw sugar is healthier. So they don't want to have beet sugar. Beet sugar is reduced to industrial use. What are we doing? While we have a golden product in our hand, it is gold color, we're selling it as an industrial project. So there's a basic management error, and let me tell you, you see this whole privatization thing, I went with potential investors to these people. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm saying so.
Mr. Green, what do you think about it? City Council, you have me or follow me.
It will survive.
Okay, how you survive?
There's an inquiry.
Overall thinking, what do you do with the party?
I don't condemn a man unless I have the empirical
proof.
evidence.
Yeah.
He's on the industry.
There's an inquiry now, and
Yeah.
let the course
Why
take
do you
its
come
way.
to the inquiry?
Can't predict
I am not an Obi man.
Yes.
it. There's not an obvious.
I expect the inquiry will deal with all the issues,
Yes.
and at the end of the day, justice will be served.
Yes. Colin Hill? Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
No.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and the panel.
Yes.
I got 3 points.
Yes.
One is local government.
Yes.
Mr. Raman, remember I told you that the political parties have contaminated the local democracy.
Okay.
You see what is going on with the different parties accusing one another, but list and who on the list and all that. They're
Yeah.
contaminating the system.
That's true.
I told you that last week. You
Yeah.
said no.
That's the
I'm
AFC.
asking all Guyanese to support all the independent candidates in this local government election and boycott all those political party candidates.
Yeah.
Simple. They cannot continue to run roughshod over the people of Guyana. Be fed up with the political people.
Yes.
I agree.
Number 2, Mr. Jaipal Sharma
Yes.
is a representative of the Justice for our party,
Yes.
Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
Now, look what happened with the rights board.
Yes.
Where shipment of rice went to Panama was rejected.
Yes.
Now you have Mr. Rahman there, you have Mr. Dover. Why is Jaipal not pushing for one of these gentlemen put on the board of the GRDD?
Okay.
You
We
know,
can't do
other
that.
political parties looking after the interest, pushing their people.
Yeah.
Let Jaipal push you back and get Mr. Rahman.
Now
and
got
Mr.
to
Dover
go to the
governor,
president.
right? That's number two.
Yes.
Number three,
Yes.
Mr. Patterson said yesterday
Yes.
that the Attorney General is targeting the Ministry of Public Infrastructure.
Yes.
I spoke about the hundreds of millions of dollars that the public infrastructure is doing to rehabilitate those selling Leguan and so on. Hundreds of millions, engineers estimate.
Yes.
Who's checking back these engineers estimates?
Okay.
Look, I spoke about the Leguan selling. I told you I have to go up and check and see the amount of work that is being done there for $400 and something million. The other day the contract was awarded to somebody, a regular man who always getting the contract. $450 million. You know how much money is that?
Yeah.
Them jokey thing going on.
Okay.
It's a continuation that this government is doing in terms of corruption. Nobody changing nothing, you know. It's the same system.
Yeah.
Only that the people at the top change
Yeah.
and they're benefiting now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Green, what's some of your comment on this matter?
One has to deal with all the details.
Yes.
There is a perception that enough has not been done to change the system.
Okay.
I myself are concerned that some of the contractors who were in the early days of the 90s are still getting the big,
salary?
sweet
Yes.
contracts. The president did announce some time ago measures to involve the smaller contractors. This is a protracted financial economic problem, and I don't know whether it has been resolved as yet. When I was at housing, I slowed the thing down so that contractors who are credible will get a chance.
Yes.
But then there was a complaint that we're not moving fast enough. So you're between a rock and a hard place.
Okay.
And I think the cabinet and the president has to take this thing on board very seriously. Avoid what may seem to be a conflict between ministers in the same government,
Yeah.
and bring out to the public all the facts
Okay.
so the public can judge.
Yeah.
I think the president is an honest man, and he has to recognize his commander-in-chief and deal with some of the miscreants who may be around him.
Yeah. Call you in here.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Sharma and the panel.
Yes.
Yes, first of all, I would like to see the police and the officer from Rumble Station and agricultural outpost all be removed. Now, let me say the reason why they are getting vital information,
Yes.
true information from the people in the area.
Yes.
And they are just collaborating with the bandits. By the time you make a call or you give them the information, the bandits already know who said what and who said what.
Okay.
They have solid information, and I hope that the commissioner is listening and the public security minister.
I do hope so.
Right? And secondly, I think that the Minister of Agriculture needs to be removed from there. Mr. Dober should get that position right now. And thirdly, our president in this country, he's still sleeping. He needs to be awake right now.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Thank you very much. Mr. Green, what's some of your comment?
When people have that kind of information,
Yeah.
it should be documented and sent to Commissioner
Yes.
of Police and sent to the appropriate minister, copy to the president. It's a very serious allegation. Some may very well be true. I've had complaints myself. Whenever I get that kind of complaint, I investigate, call the officers involved, and let the people provide specifics. You can't get in the air and make those statements without
Yeah.
giving facts,
Yeah.
either on or off the air. When did this take place? Who are the bandits?
Yes.
We have a very small society. And if you go to any part of the country, from the Quarantine to the Northwest, out of those communities come the policemen, soldiers, and the bandits.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go up in the same yard.
Yes.
And it's a problem that we need to face.
Yeah.
And remember, I keep making this point,
Yes.
that this country has suffered a serious deterioration over the past 1 or 2 generations,
Yeah.
where standards have fallen. People don't know the difference between right and wrong. It's a very serious problem.
What is position of complaint authority, police complaint authority? Are they functioning? How is it police complaint authority?
I don't remember the names, but that information a person has
Yeah.
should be sent to the authority
Yes.
so it can be properly investigated.
Yes.
I believe the present Commissioner of Police will not avoid
Yeah.
dealing with miscreants at the serious senior level.
Okay.
And we need to have faith in somebody. We have a new commissioner of police. I believe he's a man with a lot of experience. He came through the ranks. And if the complaints are credible, remember in this society, if John and Joan have a problem,
Yes.
they make say all sorts of things. And it has to be investigated. People try to get at one another because of personal vendetta.
Yeah.
And we need to investigate it properly. Justice must be properly served by a proper investigation.
I want to know the police complaint authority. Who's the person? Who's the person?
Can I answer that? Mr.
Yeah, let me.
The Police Complaints Authority
Yes.
has got the same kind of personnel that you retired policemen. That is the problem that we have, Mr. Sharma. I could sit here and tell you about 10 personal issues about the police, 10. And I have
Give me 5 only.
I have documentary
Yeah.
evidence of it, Mr. And I have great sympathies for what Mr. Green is talking about, because Mr. Green, in his time as Prime Minister, a lot of things that are happening here, he would not sit there as Prime Minister and tolerate it. He was not a lame duck Prime Minister, even though at his time I didn't agree with a number of things when he was Prime Minister. But I will
But
say,
he was in- but he
but
was
I
in-
will say this with great respect to him. He would not have heard these type of things on the air and not dealing with it. What is our current Prime Minister doing, who is a lawyer, who practices in the courts? He does nothing, Mr. Nagamutu. That is the issue, because a lot of these issues, Mr. Sharma, that's what I do on the ground, are told to these guys and they do nothing about it, Mr. Sharma. So that the point is that what do these ministers do, especially the AFC ones, what do they do? Mr. Green doesn't like me to say this, but I will say it, because I said it some time ago and he cautioned me. They will be slaughtered at the LEG election, the local government election, if the AFC gets one single seat in the NDC elections. I will resign, because I am standing on the APNU ticket. And you will be very surprised how things are changing. That from a 2-seat that we had the APNU, that we will get a majority come this election. And the reason for that, Mr. Sharma, is that things are changing. The race politics that we were accustomed to, that Jagdev is pushing, is not going to work anymore. It is not going to work. The campaign should be vote for issues and not for race. That is what is going to make the deal.
Rahama?
Let me answer.
Rahama, he goes on the WP list. WP
We
list.
made a mistake of not the justice for all. And let me say this
Yeah.
now, Mr. Sharma. I'm sorry that you were away.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you were well, we would have stood justice for all candidates in a lot of these constituencies, and you would have made a big difference. But it's not too late, because as a gentleman from Parfait Harmony, who calls a regular caller, I support him. And let me read you what the president said, because the president supports what he just said here. The president said, he said, community and non-government and civil society organizations play a critical role in bridging the governance gap.
Yeah.
These organizations have a decisive role to play in animating, meaning making alive, development within communities. His Excellency David Granger. Now, the President has been saying this since 2011, because I stood up with him around the country, and particularly in the Escobar Coast, where he made that statement. So I agree with Mr. Hamilton Green that the president genuinely wants to see democracy. That was why, when you look at the last PNC Congress, it was one of the most transparent, democratic election, political party election that was held in modern times. Let Mr. Jagdeo match that. Let him come off on his high horses and allow the ordinary members of the PPP to vote for the leader of that party and all his executive members, and not 35 people on the executive of the PPP. As a socialist, but he said he's not socialist, so I wouldn't call him socialist. But that is a socialist party. It was founded by Dr. Jagan and Mr. Burnham. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people
Sir, how am I
forget
doing
that.
the WP now?
It's
Are you with
finished.
WP,
The
man?
WP finished.
You with the WP,
No,
man?
I was never, Mr. Sharma, you must not make these acquisitions. You are making false allegations,
Yes.
and you say that you keep repeating,
Yes.
you must have evidence
Yes.
when you say
Yes.
it. I was never a member of any other
I saw you
political party.
at the party. I saw the party.
Oh, yes, I was there.
Yes, yes.
Because
That's what I
they
said.
wanted my face as an Indian fellow.
yeah.
You see, we have to change the nature,
Yes.
the nature of politics.
yes.
You do not window dress people. You understand? They want me there as an Indian fellow to show the president and other people
So
that
you were fooling people then?
they were fooling people, not me. I went there for a purpose because
What purpose? What purpose?
the purpose I went there for
Yeah.
to tell the president
Yeah.
face to face in
Yes.
front of all of them
Yes.
that they were a waste of time. All right, that they were a waste of time. That they sit now. Some of them are employed. They get millions of dollars. Trotman is GCOM got millions of dollars. Poor
I
guy.
mean, how you know millions of dollars?
Well, GCOM
It's
commission
public
is
knowledge.
public knowledge. Professor Thomas, my great friend and mentor, now sits there. He also have a good time. But I am saying here from this platform, our good friend, Professor Thomas, did a very good job. And I compliment him for the first time in the history of our country that we were able to establish something called SARA, which is a statutory body by law that will investigate those in the past, those in the present, and those in the future. But our friend,
it works.
our friend should retire because Professor Thomas now, because he's done his work, and there comes a time when we all have to
Yeah,
retire.
that's true. Cardi, hello?
Yes, Mr. Sharma.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Part of the problem is that the average Guyanese sees everything through the glass of party and
Yeah.
race, and they do not look at issues and what is right and what is wrong.
Yes.
But until and unless the president with the powers that be come to the place people are called to in any corrupt behavior, they must be brought to board regardless of who they are, race, party, or whatever.
Yes.
Otherwise, the situation will change.
Yes.
Secondly, the other thing, in the joint services generally, all persons from about the middle management, like from the sergeant upwards, they are members of organizations known as lodges. And a lot of the decisions are made at the lodge first before it comes down to whether it's the police,
Yeah.
prison, fire, whatever.
That's true.
And they don't deal with what is truth, what is right, what is expedient for the party. And that's part of the problem, amen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Cardi, hello?
Hello?
Yeah? Good afternoon.
I want to comment on a portion. The corruption is prevalent in both political parties. Look, the cinema road here. They do a part of the road. And I thought this will get paid off now. And if you come and see the road that they leave, these potholes are going to be the big ones again. And the man was just saying, millions of dollars is paid out and nobody looks at the contract end of the day. It's the same thing, keep going on from one pocket to the other pocket. The same political party left, the next one joined and jump the bandwagon.
Okay.
Nobody looks at the contract. Taxpayer billions of dollars has been wasted and thrown away into people's pockets. Nobody look after. Then the government and the people come and say, oh, we represent John Jones and Harry. Nobody put in your pocket. Nobody people talk about the same wasting of taxpayers.
So what do you think is the solution to the problem?
The corruption has been never done. As what the man said, nobody looks at the contract end of the day. Somebody got pay and pay off, and the contract can pay off for this shabby work.
Okay.
Shabby work keep going on all the time.
Okay.
Never done right. And when next year we the next local government election, they come and do the same thing again to fool the people. You don't fool people. People are not dumb, you're blind. When what the blind man saying in America, if he was in ministry and so much corruption now he has to the world and he blind and can hear so much, what if he even still? You want to sing about?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Caller in the hello. Yeah. Basically, what is some of your comment?
A problem we still face, and not defend the coalition, is that in the institutions, you still have the corrupt elements who are making decisions. I've had experience in
We're sorry,
housing,
your call cannot be completed.
and we had contractors building houses that could not be occupied. And I had to deal with it, and the point is there was a supervisory group, and these were not political people.
Okay.
So it was endemic in the system.
Exactly.
And what we need to do is what the Americans did at one time when the government changed. All the top officials, engineers, administrations, offered their resignation.
Yeah.
That didn't
Yeah,
happen.
that's true.
You had the office of the president, a man who's a rascal. But the president cleaves to democratic principles. But it comes a time when we've got to be rough
Okay.
and deal with a matter because we have to leave for the next generation a society that is less impure. We've inherited it, and those things don't change overnight.
Caller in the hello.
That's right.
President, good day to
Yes.
gentlemen.
Yes, good day.
Good day, good day,
And
Mr.
man on the panel.
Yes.
President, good day, and all in your future endeavors. Now, since I am a little child growing, my grandmother always said, a liar is a thief, and a thief is a murderer. And then sometimes she said again, the devil come to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And so far from since I learned about politics and politics, all I could say that Satan cannot divide his kingdom among himself. Satan can't cast Satan out from the kingdom. Because why? You got people from before in the PNC that fought to try it, and they destroy.
Okay.
They come after, they destroy. Jordan and Burnham fight, they destroy. Then they come again, they destroy. You know, this country should have been better off. Who didn't burn the Yokain, who sabotaged? Until now you got sabotage and all these things going on. So we live in a corrupt society where everybody wants to speak, but they are not speaking the truth. Just so you talk to Mr. Rahman concerning if he wasn't in the WPA, and he's fumbling for excuse. What I'm saying, you don't be lean every time you see a little soup fall somewhere, because sometimes he's going to be a dumpling and he's going to stick down at the throat, he's going to choke you and kill you. So if you want to lead the people and do the right thing, for example, there is URP brought up on the air. They're saying that the WPA went to Borbit and made false papers and say that people is with them and blah, blah, blah. Then decided that was on the air on his press conference. He made some loose statement. He had evidence. And then the brother from the URP went on Channel 6, I think, they said yesterday afternoon or when, and he got paper for show, evidence for show, and look. The same thing that Jagwe was saying about the PAPNU and the WPA, the same thing they are doing. So the whole thing corrupt and confusing. And the most they are doing, or they're doing on top there, is to destroy our youth, who this rainbow generation who trying to come together and left who is Kuli, black and Portuguese and Chinese. All we're doing is destroying the people from the bottom. And we got to put on this nonsense. It's going on for too long. And its time is finished. Last, and these are not, now, talk about the small things where they got the Christmas time, where they got clean interest. Till now they bring it back for to allow them weed. The first time in history, you need this trench to be done. So that when the rain do fall, we're going to never forget little depth for the trench, and the slush go come out to the trench, and we're going to never accommodate the water. Then when the farmers last the thing, you know how much thing I last year, and I never get compensation. Dog, donkey, everything, and I never get no compensation. So people won't got nothing, always nothing to get something. And you know what? They're coming again. Now is local democracy, local government come.
The man got in thing and he gone again with it. Millions of dollars in funerals, doing what?
Okay.
Doing what?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Taking party show.
Yeah.
People tired of this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll just like...
How much you got URP?
The United Republican Party, which was a splinter group. Which,
I heard you want to join the party.
Which,
But here you want to join the party.
you hear a lot of things.
Yes,
you must
yeah.
hear from the horse's
Yeah, what's going
mouth.
on?
Look,
Yeah.
when I left this country in 1980,
Yes.
the WP didn't have membership form.
Yeah.
I could not be a member. I was
Okay.
associated
Okay.
with a lot of people within the WP. I still do.
Who do you URP? Tell me who you URP.
The Europe is headed by a man called
Pandu?
Pandu.
Yeah.
He has a program regularly on Channel 2.
Okay.
He wants
Before
to,
URP, who were you at that time?
I've always been a PPP. I've always been a PPP. When I left in 1979, I never joined any other political party. Remember, I left here in 1980. I came back here and you did my first interview in 1998. 1998. It was a long interview you did with me. I can't even find the copy of it.
Yes.
So good. So that's my history.
But CN,
Yes.
we face in reality of human imperfection.
Yeah.
I listened to the last caller.
Yes.
I understand what he's saying.
Yes.
But you know, this month, as we wind down 2018, 100 years ago, civilized societies in Europe and the United States were at war. 30 million people were killed brutally just because of disease, famine in Europe.
Yeah.
We deal with human imperfection. We've got to pray. We've got to work on our young people for them to change their approach. As we approach the end of this year, we come to another anniversary. The Second World War, same thing again. Civilized people. They criticize India, China, and Africa for being uncivilized. But the same people who claim to be civilized have had the most disastrous and tragic of wars.
That's right.
50 years ago, 1968, around this same time, they killed Martin Luther King. Riots in 4 American cities. So we must understand that we've got to work on this thing with our young people, our churches, our mosques, and our temples to create a new attitude. It's easy to criticize, but what do you do to correct it?
That's right.
Calling you. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Rahman, answer this question. Which
Yeah.
president to Guyana didn't want no money from the country? He just worked just free like that. When you check your account, didn't have no money. When you go to your house of the quarantine, that you ever done is if I say he gets everything.
Okay, thank you very much.
The president is who?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. What the president talking about? URP?
He's talking about you, because you never wanted any money,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's he you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of president we
Yeah.
want, a man who is selfless. I think
But the president has to eat,
the president
he has to
yes.
wear proper clothes.
That's right. That's
I
right.
can answer that.
He has to live.
Yes.
Look, Dr. Reed made this point to some young radicals.
Was he referring to you?
Could
No,
be.
no. He
And
paranoid or something.
he
Yeah.
made the point that,
Yeah.
look, all over the world in civilized society,
Yeah.
in ancient society, your people who are elevated to lead must have rectitude,
Yeah.
but they must be able to live in some degree of comfort.
Like Donald Trump?
Well, Trump is a different.
It is a different chapter.
The American people deal with Mr.
Yes.
Trump at the
Yes,
appropriate
yes.
time.
Yeah.
No,
But we've got to be very careful
Yes.
in dealing with this matter.
Yes, yes.
We all go to school to get an education so we can enjoy the creature comforts of this world.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I send my child to school to get a PhD, to good
Yeah.
good engineer, a good businessman, and he must not enjoy the comforts of this
Okay.
world. That's what the world is all
Yes.
about.
Mr.
The
Griffin,
problem is when you use your position for exploitative purposes.
Yes.
You have 6 cars, you want another 7, 8 cars.
Yes.
the seven star.
That has been the problem. You saw it in several parts of the world where oil companies corrupt societies
Okay.
by making a few people comfortable.
But right here,
And that's what we have to deal with.
right here, Mr. Green, Mr. Jagdev, before he demitted the office, he made a long list of things that he was wanted. Salary, 7 servants, 7 cars, security.
That was obscene.
I mean, why a man would want more than one house, I can't understand. Or more than one room, or more than one.
How much wife you had?
Eh?
How much wife you had? But Jack do have?
If you have wives,
Wives?
Yeah.
I don't
Wife,
know.
wife.
I don't know he has any wife for
Yeah.
that matter. He never married. You know that.
I didn't know that.
You didn't attend the
Yeah, I went out to the wedding.
You were invited. You're a special guest.
Yes, that's true.
Was he married or not?
I don't know if you, I don't
He was not
but-
legally.
Yes.
He wasn't legally
yeah.
married. The Hindu marriages are supposed to be
Who did you
legally
marry?
married.
Ripurman
Ripurman Prasad.
That's right.
All religious marriage. Thanks to Mr. Burnham.
Yeah.
He removed 2 very important things. One, this thing is about illegitimate child. He
Yeah.
removed that. A child is a child. There's nothing about legal or illegal.
That's right.
It's
I know
nonsense.
that. I know how that, yeah.
So you must give credit to Mr. Burnham for recognizing
Yeah, that's
it.
right, that's right.
A child is born, the child must be properly brought up
Yeah.
in terms of their physical being and their attitude and behavior. What Mr. Green was talking about, their attitude and behavior.
Okay.
The second thing is, he recognized also the women, their rights to properties, whether they were signed a paper
That's right,
or
yeah.
not.
That's right.
Those are things that even you don't talk about,
Yeah.
that you were part of, that enhanced our society,
Yeah.
that advanced our society. You think Mr. Jagdev did, what did Mr. Jagdev do?
Well, nobody.
Dr. Durga, you were associated at one time with him. What did he do significant that will strike you? What? Tell me. Or you?
No,
Look,
first of all,
nobody-
Yeah, hold on. Wait.
Nobody can deny the magnificence of Forbes Burnham.
Yeah.
He brought equality of religions. I remember the problem he had with certain bishops when at the cenotaph, he insisted that prayers be said by a Muslim, a
Yeah,
Hindu, and a
that's right.
Christian.
Yeah.
Because we grew up in a society where the British felt that Christianity was the only religion. And Burnham dismantled all of that.
Okay.
He gave equality to women.
Yes.
He allowed them to prosper,
Yeah.
where today women are on the up.
Yeah.
And as you see in the United States, they're not taking any nonsense.
Yeah, me